Hello, my name is Mark Singh. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. I guess you have a little bit of my background by reading my resume. So I'm going to go right into the questions that are being asked for this video. The first question is, what about this organization appeals to you? What I really liked about this organization is when I watched the videos, um, Jim was talking about how he challenges any of the financial advisors, but they really do some deep financial planning. And he mentioned some examples of what he hears other financial advisors do. And being in the business as I have been, that is kind of how it is approached um, at the financial institutions that I've worked at, whether it be independent, a bank, and so forth. Um, so they don't really delve into the deepness as he was discussing it here at your organization, and that really appealed to me. I think a lot of what we do, particularly with its managed accounts, annuities, they're not really delving into the estate planning, or even the insurance companies are doing some tax shelter products, but they're not talking to the accountant to really know the client and to work with the accountant to get the better tax planning with that would be the best appropriate way to go for the client. Um, Even the company I worked for most recently, it was very clear that we are not tax advisors, and it was very against us making any type of tax recommendations. But I think like working with the accountant or other advisors or consultants to the entrepreneur to the client, it's a good thing. And I think that approach is really something unique that I'm not really seeing, with the banks, for example. Even if something was a client needed something that I recognized to be a unique factor, I would usually quarterback it over, to private banking and or the estate planning, or they would take care of it in that section. And from what I'm gathering here is that you're kind of involved in the whole aspect here of doing a full financial planning and really delving deep in with the client to give them the best information available. And I think that's something that really appeals to me. I did go through my certified financial planning training, and a lot of that, which I learned, estate planning and things like that, I really don't get to utilize them, in the current roles that I've been in. So that is something I would be excited about to continue on, to really, delve into the client and give them the full plethora of tools available to them that can really help them achieve their financial goals and security. So that's really a big reason what I find appealing. I could just tell by the way Jim was even speaking about the way he mentioned things. He wasn't just speaking it. He knew what he was talking about, and I could sense that by just the little way he just presented things. He really hit the nail on the head by describing like kind of what I've seen all my years being in the business. Um, yeah, so I find that very appealing. So hopefully that's something that we could talk about further. The second question is, what about this organization doesn't appeal to you? Well, I'm very comfortable with Zoom and talking on the phone. I started as a stockbroker years ago, in the late 90s, actually, 2000s actually. Um, and so I was on the phone a lot, cold calling. So I'm comfortable being on the phone. And obviously now, since COVID, we're doing Zoom. A lot of companies like you to do Zoom, and I'm comfortable with that as well too. But at the end of the day, I still like the meeting face to face, a handshake and looking someone in the eyes, and just showing their character and confidence. I think that's something that I kind of miss a little bit. I would say with the virtual, you don't get that face to face meeting connection. Like I said, I feel pretty good about myself meeting people face to face. I like people. Hope that comes across. I know it definitely comes across in face to face meetings. I'm a little cautious if that comes through on a voicemail, voice chat. I guess that's part of the skill set. You have to do that. Um, so that is something that, while I'm not afraid of it, I'm fine. I'm comfortable with it. I just kind of miss a little bit of that face to face handshake, getting to know a person in those aspects. Um, even with management, hopefully we'll have some meetings where I could come down to the Phoenix area. I do know Scottsdale somewhat. My son went to ASU, so I'm familiar with the area as well. It would be nice to, have maybe a meeting and meet the company and fellow colleagues, and a face-to-face meeting would be nice as well too. So, the third question is, what three skills do you think are most important? Well, number one, I think, is about listening to your client. I mean, listening is really key. You learn more from listening than speaking. Number two is asking a question about something they're telling you to get more information. So it is listening, but it's also asking the right questions to delve deeper into what the client is saying and to learn more about them. Successful people like to talk about themselves. So ask the question, sit back and listen and learn. After that, I think the knowledge comes into aspect of what you can do now to help them to achieve the goals that they're saying or achieve whatever they're talking about. It could be their family, it could be lots of other aspects as well too. You bring it back to what you can bring to the table to help them when they're telling you what they want. So I think listening is the most important thing. Asking questions, making them feel comfortable is second, because you're building a relationship. I mean, there's plenty of advisors out there. What's going to make you different is that connection. So you want to build a relationship that's going to last for years and years. You want them to feel comfortable in order to do that. So I think that's very important. The psychology of it is important as well as the academics as well. Emotions do play a part. Investing. You usually say take the emotion out of investing, but ironically, emotion does play a big factor investing with people and helping them achieve their financial goals. Because that's really, it's about the emotional effect. They want to feel that security. They want to feel they achieved what they want to achieve. So it's really, that's a satisfaction, or their legacy, whatever it is. But it's the emotion that brings for them being comfortable and confident, and you help them get there is really what's important. What do you see as being your steepest learning curve stepping into this position? Well, I think with anything, even though I have a lot of experience and I've been through a lot of different systems, um, there's always that learning curve when it comes to new systems you have to learn. I mean, you could be the Ivy League, Harvard graduate, but there's still going to be a time you're coming into a new situation, a lot of different new tools, using Salesforce. Um, some people use Salesforce, some people use other platforms. Um, so depending on the platform that's being used here, do wealth, that's going to be something that I would have to learn to make sure that I'm, up to speed, make sure I'm giving the clients the best possible experience by me knowing exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing presentations. So, I've trained in a lot of different ones. I'm comfortable with a lot of different platforms. Um, for example, Salesforce, Money Guide Pro. But that being said, that there's also in-house ones I've used at different bankings that weren't available, like Pershing. Is another big one. Pershing at 360. They're a big company as well too that does a lot of the infrastructure for a lot of different companies as well too. So it depends on what the platform is. I mean, that's going to be the steepest learning curve is learning that platform that's being used here, and make sure I'm comfortable with it. Make sure I can make sure I'm using all the information appropriately. If I feel confident that, therefore, that's going through to the client. So you don't want to speak and not know exactly, have things go glitchy or wrong. You want to be sure you're very comfortable with it, very smooth with it, understanding it. The only way you can really do that is by learning with it and being hands-on. You can take the class. I've seen them, they train everything, and then when you sit down and look into the program, things happen that wasn't in the class. The only way you can get past those is by actually doing it, actually putting your hands on it. And even sometimes making that mistake and then making that correction for the next time and learning from that way. Oh, this could have been this way, and that could have been that way. When you click this button, you can get that information. So little things like that, I think that's the biggest learning curve that I have in position. But I'm open to learning. As an older guy, I went back to school. I had a stockbroker. I didn't have a college degree. But I wanted to be, and I was a financial advisor without the college degree, but I wanted to be a CFP. And the CFP, you have to have the bachelor's. So I went back to school, and I got the the bachelor's. At first, I took psychology and philosophy because I already knew all the business. But even that helped me understand clients as well too. So I think that as a more holistic approach to clients as well too. And I went back and got the business and finance. So even at a later age to go back to school, you know, going back to school, my son's at school, going to college himself, and I'm going back to school as well at the same time he's going to college. Um, it was humbling, but it also I learned a lot, and I think that um, I'm always open to learning new things. So I'm excited about learning things. So I'm not worried about the learning curve so much. I know I can learn it if I take it down, take the time, and practically 2 + 2 = 4. So if you take your time and learn things, I think I'll be okay. I feel pretty confident that, like anything, I can learn whatever the situation is or the systems to use it. So I'm not that worried about the learning curve, but obviously there's always going to be some kind of learning curve. What else would you like to tell us? Well, I've been in the business for a while. I've learned, from the stockbroker to financial advisor to the back of the house, to the academic side, to the administrative side as well too. So I've done from banking to wealth management side. I think you also seen in my resume that outside business activity as I own an event company that obviously I was an MC and a DJ before. So I MC'd for a lot of big companies, and I kind of still do it now a little bit, part-time more so, more like a hobby. Not really doing a ton of events anymore, but I do a couple of events here and there from clients, word of mouth that I've known for years, and it's fun, but I also think it helps in the communicating. I mean, I'm not afraid to go and talk in front of 300 people at an event, so as a motivational MC and to get that control. A lot of times I've done a lot of corporate events for Blackstone and BlackRock. I've done holiday events with them and been the MC at their events, and their president and CEOs have been to companies, and I talk with them and get them involved at the party and to have to motivate them as well. So I'm pretty comfortable at speaking in large crowds. I think it kind of helps even in virtual one-on-one conversation. How you speak to people. I think I'm aware of that. Sometimes I speak a little fast, so I'm very cognitive to make sure that I speak slower, depending on the client I'm speaking to make sure they understand what I'm saying, and to stop and listen and not interrupt them while they're speaking. And I think that learned a lot from being in business, but also being at events. You want to speak to people, and you need to have that presence with them as well. A wedding or a bar mitzvah or whatever the situation may be, or a corporate event party. You want to have that presence there in the room. I mean, it helps them tall 6'3", so in person, wherever I stand, becomes the stage. So I kind of get attention. Even in networking events as well too. When I walk into networking events, it's important. Cultivating business, to have that kind of presence. So that kind of helps more in that environment. That being said, I think it does help somewhat in the virtual world as well too, because I think being comfortable, make sure you're communicating properly with people, comes across, even in a phone call, and definitely in the virtual, make people feel comfortable is the most important factor. I think if people feel comfortable, they respect you, they'll do business with you. So I think that's really the most important thing, is to listen to people and make them feel comfortable and develop relationships. So I'm excited to learn more about the company. Hopefully this will be a very good review, and we'll have a follow-up phone call or a Zoom meeting, and we can delve a little bit more into the company, can answer some questions I have. I can answer any other questions that you and your team may have as well. I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.